G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by Algared, my partner in crime, and the voice in the... Sorry?
The handsome one.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that, old man. And the voice in the void is Bulldog. How you doing, mate?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, so I think we'll kick it straight off over to the browser, and you can tell us about your fleet, Bulldog, and what you brought and what your plans were for all this, and then we'll kind of go into some little details and kind of show people how we had not a lot of difficulty but a little bit of difficulty switching this over for you, and why we made some changes, and we tried to leave it a little bit flexible for you too, didn't we? So yeah, we'll talk about that. So anyway, Saber and Super Hornet, I'm going to chuck those into the same basket because they're both fighters. So what's your plans behind that?
So my plans behind those were pretty much just combat focused and daily drivers more than anything, just to get around and protect myself in.
Yep. Cuddy Blue, I think you said bounty hunting.
Correct, bounty hunting, because it's got the cells in the back.
Yep. Mercury Star Runner, daily driver, I assume.
Yeah, daily driver and just all around great ship.
Crucible.
Industry and repair for my other larger ships that I have, as well as for the org if they need me to come in with it.
Also repairs nice little fighters and can store fighters in the back. So
Yeah. Starfire. I was going to say Crucible again. Starfire.
you were going to say Crucible, but
yeah, Starfire, because I can get my own fuel with it. I don't have to rely on going in. Also gain money by selling the fuel off.
All right. Hull C.
And the Hull C, we kind of talked about, it was one of those that I was kind of meh. But cargo hauling, getting all that in-game currency.
The Carrack.
Carrack, all around great ship, love it. It's got the cargo, it's got a bay for a small fighter, and you can run around with your friends in it.
Reclaimer.
Another industry one, earning the in-game credits, going out and salvaging wrecks and stuff.
And last but not least, the Orion.
Yep, big money maker. The way I looked at it, it's probably going to be one of the biggest money makers in game, because it's got the refinery on it, so you don't have to go in, and you can just come in with all of your materials already refined and sell them.
So, I've just realised this is not quite what we originally had. So yeah, I've just realised this is the pack that he originally had.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually realised that this is the image that we gave him at the end. That's what we gave him at the end, but it doesn't matter. So I'll kind of explain. This is what he originally started with, guys. So he actually had the Tycoon pack, and as you can see in here, it has lots of little advanced starters, and it actually tends to double up on a lot of the professions. So he had things like Drake Vultures and Reclaimers, and Vulcans and Crucibles, and stuff like that. And when we were talking to in the support Discord, someone pointed out that you can actually get this pack for cheaper by buying this pack here, which is a company pack, and I think the other one was called the Entrepreneur pack. Was that the other one, Algared?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
And it saved about $35, $40 or something.
So it was actually cheaper to get 2 packs than it was to get one, and you got $40,000 worth of Alpha UEC instead of 20, and as Algared said, you saved $30. So it was like almost a no-brainer. But in our case, we didn't actually want him to have these small ships.
And when we were talking to him, he didn't really want those small ships either. It was really, they're just in the pack, I haven't CCU'd them, and I kind of don't have the funds to CCU them. The other thing, when we looked at the 2 packs that made up the Tycoon pack, the company pack actually gave a bigger discount than the Entrepreneur pack. The Entrepreneur pack really didn't give a discount. And so our suggestion ended up being, melt everything!
Yeah.
And buy the company pack.
Yeah, and how often do we say to melt everything, Algared? It's pretty rare these days.
I don't think we've ever said it.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a weird pitch. And then obviously we've made a few small changes. So we also asked him to re-upgrade the Genesis to a Carrack. And the other thing that you told us too, Bulldog, was you were also into combat quite a lot. So what we've also suggested is this in the end. And so the last one there that we're actually recommending is the Starfarer into a Polaris. But then when we get back in here, the Polaris is here. So we have to explain the second part, which actually gets us back to the original fleet. He's a real big fan of these 3 ships here at the end. And so by allowing him to play with those 3 ships now, and the other thing I should also point out is he didn't want to really put extra money into the game. So what we're recommending at the moment is that he play with these 3 ships at the moment, or 2 of them, and when he's had his fun and just before the game releases, that he melt them and maybe sit on a CCU to this ship. So one of the supporters suggested an Andromeda to the Starfarer, and I probably agree with that. I think Ari does as well, and that's about $75, and that'll still leave him enough room to have. And I think you said the Super Hornet and the Saber out of those 3, so he didn't quite have enough money for all 3. But it'll give him enough money for 2 of them, so he can run around and do what he wants to do in his combat ships right now. We did also bring up the fact that he's only going to have 1 combat ship, but the way he kind of explained it hell, Bulldog, I'll let you explain it, because it's probably better just to come from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So you explain why you're kind of happy just having the 1 combat ship in the Polaris, if you would, please.
Right. So the way I look at it is that, once all of these other major industrial ships, like the Orion, get in game and all the mechanics are fleshed out, right? It's going to be much easier to earn down than it is to earn up, right? And the industry ships, I feel, are going to be able to yield a much higher income than the larger combat ships.
And specifically, the combat ships you were mainly interested in were medium to low. Is that what I remember you saying something along those lines?
Right. So primarily, I'm not too concerned about the larger combat ships. I'm much more of, like the fighters, and maybe even medium size, but not up into the capital size.
And having said that, though, the Polaris was the one ship that you said, I can see myself having this and using it with my friends, because it's got the fighter bay, it's got the other facilities, it's a place we can hang. And so it made sense to put that Corvette into the pack as well, because if you look at the company pack, the reason we suggested that is it had every one of the ships that he was after: the Reclaimer, the Starfarer, the Reclaimer, the Orion, the Crucible. He didn't mind the Starfarer. He was kind of up and yarring with that one, and the Genesis was the one he was saying, yeah, and I want to do something with that. So that became his Carrack, which he loved, and then the Starfarer. It seemed a no-brainer to turn that into the Polaris and lock those ships that he really wanted in the pack.
And the Polaris, the Polaris makes a lot of sense to me based on the things he said to us about the Carrack too, because it is kind of like a combat Carrack. They share some similar roles in everything you explained. I've got to ask the question too: are you a military man by any chance, Bulldog?
Yes. I am.
And are you Air Force or Army, but not Navy? I've just got the sneaking suspicion you're not Navy. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I spent a little bit of time in the Marine Corps.
Okay, that would be why. So
not Navy.
No, I know, but like he leans towards fighters more than he does like the boats, so to speak. And if you kind of look at the spaceships, the bigger ships are kind of like Navy, and the smaller ships are more like the fighters and stuff, and that leads into the other stuff. So I just had a sneaking suspicion from the way, and I just thought I'd ask. So it's just good to know that I'm starting to learn the way the military people think. And I'm not a military person at all, so maybe I've been hanging out with too many of you, and it's rubbed off a little bit. So yeah, I thought this was an interesting episode to show people how Algared's usually the Pac-Man. So actually, Algared, I'll let you talk about why this was an interesting episode from pack perspective.
It was an interesting episode because he had everything he wanted basically in that first pack, but he also still had those extra CCUs he wanted to get rid of, or the extra ships that he needed to CCU. Packs can be really, really good. They can also limit you. So he was limited in the pack that he had because he had those small ships he still wanted to CCU, or he had these little ships that were pretty useless because they were doubled up on ships he already had. By going the company pack, he actually saved additional money on those bigger ships. He had space for all of those ships he wanted, plus an ability to upgrade a couple of them into ships that he actually did want to add in. So there was less playing around with the pack. And because he wanted them, getting the pack is a safe bet. It's not, oh, I want to get rid of this ship. It's the ships that he knew he wanted. And that's where packs come in really handy. He still has a game pack and he still has a 20k starting cash.
As a backer, and I'll put this to both of you. I'll put the Bulldog first because I know exactly what Algared's going to say, but I will ask you as well, Algared. The fact that Tycoon pack exists, and then they've got the other two packs that basically cost less and give you exactly the same and more. As a backer, I find that slightly insulting. Do you guys also find that slightly insulting that they have the same? I think there's like one or two ships different or something like that. There's very little difference between the two. And yet one is like you can literally get to the other one through the other two packs and you get more money and more in-game credits. So yeah. Bulldog, do you find that kind of slightly insulting as a backer that they have not really... It's almost like they've just smacked their packs together and not really even noticed?
Yeah, I do, definitely, to an extent. I think some of it, like the one that I got, would be really good personally for like somebody that's got an org specifically wrapped around industry.
Yeah.
Just because it has the smaller ships that can kind of get in and maneuver around stuff, and the larger ships. But yeah, just like you said, because one, you can use, you might not be able to put everybody in a ship and go out and do it, but you can use those larger ships to quickly earn the smaller ones.
Yep. Algared.
I don't think it's insulting in as such as CIG forgetting. A bit like the 2948 Explorer pack.
Can you forgive forgetting when they cost so much? Like, we're not dealing with like a regular $15 DLC here. We're dealing with thousands of dollars.
When you look at the price difference between those two small packs and the bigger pack as being $35, yeah, I think it's just an issue of.
But there's no reason for the bigger one to exist when you can buy the two smaller ones. That's my point.
I'm not saying, don't cut me off and say, oh, you're saying this. I'm not saying that. I actually think you're actually better off getting the two smaller packs, because not only do you get basically every ship in that bigger pack, you get an extra additional 20,000 UEC if you want all of those ships. You also have an extra game pack, so you've actually got an NPC slot. So I can't see a reason why anyone would buy that pack, but there are people out there who do want all of those ships. But I think you're better off getting those two smaller packs and saving 35.
All right, Bulldog, so are you kind of happy with how that turned out? We kind of left it flexible enough for you to kind of make a few decisions. We did give you a couple of exit strategies. We even talked to you about a few other things that we haven't mentioned here today, but are you feeling a lot more confident now going forward than where you were when you kind of rocked up to us a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when I found out that I was going to, have enough credits to get, a Polaris and the Endeavor, which we didn't really talk about that much, but yeah. So, but yeah, I was definitely satisfied with coming and talking to you guys. We had a good time.
And I got to say, we didn't talk about the Endeavor in that pack that was there, but that was actually there because Bulldog did say, well, I'd actually add an Endeavor. It's kind of hidden between the Reclaimer and the Orion there, but
yeah.
And he saw that as something to support both combat, either as it being a hangar or a hab or even a hospital. So,
yeah. All right, well, before we sign off today, I will remind people of our F7A upgrade with the hashtag Jaden with a tribute to Eric, who used to own the ship, so to speak, or was going to own the ship, and his friend is giving that away. So yeah, if you are interested in at the chance of winning an F7A upgrade and Super Hornet to apply it to, leave hashtag Jaden in your comment. Other than that, Algared, you got anything else you'd like to add?
Like, subscribe, leave a comment. It feeds the algorithm. We will be looking at drawing that, I think, when we get to 12,500 subs.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah. So I'm going to go back through and pick up all the tags and draw it like a person. We wanted, Jaden, the guy that used to own it, who has passed away. His friend that's giving it away on his behalf really wants it to go to someone that'll make good use of it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, Bulldog. It was a very different approach to how we normally do this. As Algared said, we've never ever recommended someone melt everything and start again. But that was the best way to go, without a shadow of a doubt. All right. I'm glad we helped you out. Let us guys know your thoughts in the comments below about how his fleet turned out. I personally, I don't know about you, Algared, but I wanted a bit more combat in there because of what he said, but I also understand his reasoning was because he wants those cheaper fighters, so he's just set himself up to earn all those fighters as soon as the game kind of kicks off. So yeah, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below if that would work for you guys as well. Sorry, Algared.
Probably the big difference there is normally we're saying, oh look, go for the Crucible, go for the Reclaimer, go for the Orion. But it was, no, I actually want these ships. It's just, and I've got them in this pack, but I've got these other ships I don't know what to do with, or I can't really work out what to do with them, and I need help. And this actually gave him those same ships, but the flexibility to go up to get other stuff. So
we threw a few combat ships at him, that's for sure. All right, then. He's been Algared, the voice in the void has been Bulldog, and I've been Execute, and we'll all catch you in the next one.
And we're out of here. Take care.
Bulldog, say goodbye. Bulldog.
Oh, bye, guys.